Zone of the Enders, the second runner, lives up to its title as high robot speed action. The saying of getting what it says on the cover couldn't be more than true. The second runner is an experience like no other when it comes to mech games. From top to bottom, the game is just hot fire. Going back to play this game in its original form was quite a shock for me. How this game is even running on the PS2 is amazing itself. The devs are certainly pushing the hardware to its limits. The speed, graphics and effects are all outstanding, some of the best you're going to see on the PS2. The particle effects are truly something you'll be glazing at, almost like pretty fireworks going off. Smashing orbital frames to pieces never looks so pretty. The next impressive thing is the speed the game runs at. There are a few moments where the frame rate drops and you will certainly feel it, but for most of the game it keeps a steady smooth frame rate. When your game is based around speed, this is of course important. Then there's the level of destruction. Buildings and ships will all crumble at your feet in a very satisfying manner. The graphics almost look a bit cel shaded, but not quite. It gives off a mix of that and a Tron vibe. For the cutscenes, they went for a straight anime rather than 3D models like the previous game. This very much leads to the game's appeal, as you feel like you're playing in an anime. It's probably the closest you'll ever get to being the star in your own mecha anime. Now, as for the game's story, it's set a few years later from the first game, and this time you'll be playing as Dingo, an ex-soldier of the Baram military, who are pretty much the bad guys of the game, led by Norman, who will serve as the main villain. Norman kills Dingo, but you are saved by Ken, who later reveals that she is a spy working with the UNSF to bring Norman and Baram's reign of terror across Mars to a halt. She saves you by making z.o.e your life support machine, meaning if Dingo leaves z.o.e, he will die. This essentially forces Dingo to do what Ken wants. She reveals that Norman has been working on something called Project Alman, which for all intent purposes is a doomsday device that threatens the entire solar system. So that brings us onto the gameplay. You'll be playing the game in z.o.e again, albeit this being a sequel, meaning Ada, the onboard AI in z.o.e, has learned a few new tricks. You have long distance attacks like your homing laser attacks. This is great for getting rid of swarms of enemies, and you have melee where you can attack multiple orbital frames by dashing and even grabbing and throwing them into each other or walls for extra damage. The combat, as I've mentioned before, is extremely fast. This is the kind of game where you have to keep moving to stay alive during the more intense battle sections. Even though melee combos are short, being around 3 to 4 hits, you'll find sometimes you won't even have time for that, and it's better to dash around and stay on the offensive on other targets rather than focusing on one enemy. Where this game makes a huge difference is in the sub-weapons you'll be acquiring as you go through the game, some of which you will have no choice but to use at certain points in the game, as you won't be able to get past fixed moments in the storyline. This is stressed further into the game when you lock a certain sub-weapon, which is a game-changing sub-weapon once you get it. You'll have very little reason to use nothing but that, even more so that it doesn't use up any of your sub-weapon meter bar. It's the best sub-weapon in the game by far, and will make you a god amongst other orbital frames. This game is straight up linear. There's no backtracking and going back and forth collecting items, etc. The game has almost zero padding. It just gets you moving along at a well-rounded pace. You never feel like you're in one area for longer than you need to be. I don't understand why modern gaming would have people believe linear game design is evil and open world is the only way to go. It all depends on what type of game you're trying to make, because this is one of the best examples of how fun a linear game can be. You'll be fighting in cities, caverns, inside spaceships, etc., along with facing various different Baram orbital frames, and one stage where you'll have to take on a fleet of ships. Again, it switches up the enemies enough for you not to get bored. Then you have the boss fights, and they are very much as memorable as the Metal Gear ones. There's a boss fight in here that is one of my favourite boss fights from any game, and all I'm going to say is darkness. Those of you who have played the game know exactly what I'm talking about. The design and interaction between you and z.o.e in this boss fight is just so damn good. This game just keeps giving you awesome different moments at each corner. While I enjoy the boss battles, there's one battle against Viola that becomes highly annoying due to the camera and tight space you're fighting in. It's the kind of boss fight where your timing needs to be very good, but how can it be good when you can't even see what's happening clearly? This reminds me of a boss fight from Dark Souls 3, and if you've played that you probably know which boss I'm talking about. In any case, it's not the design behind the boss fight that's wrong, that is quite smart, but the camera doesn't want to play ball. so don't be surprised if you find yourself frustrated here and there. These are very small nitpicks though. You'll learn to position yourself into better places to suit the camera. Really, Zone of Enders the second runner is a checklist of how to produce an amazing mech game. There's nothing quite like it, from the mech designs, to the music, to the gameplay, the characters and story. It's all just an amazing fun mech game. The game has seen re-releases on more modern consoles like the 360, PS3, PS4 and PC. I'd recommend the PS3 HD edition as that includes both games. I'll probably get the PS4 PC version in time as well, because this is one game I sure don't mind rebuying again with graphical updates. As if you need me to say it, but if you haven't played the second runner then you should. With various versions of the game out, there's no excuse not to, and you'll soon see why many have it as one of their favourite games of all time. As always, thanks for watching and I'll catch you later.